Okay. All right. So I think we should be good now. I don't know. I love this video. Hello, guys. I love it. I totally love it. I love this video. I'm going to drop the link in the chat again real quick. Trump.
I'm going to get to your cause in a minute here. I have with me Dr. Bandy Lee. She is a forensic psychiatrist at Yale School of Medicine, expert on violence prevention for the UN's World Health Organization, editor of The Dangerous Case of Donald Trump, and president of the World Mental Health Coalition. Expert. Dr. Lee, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.
I really appreciate this. I want to ask, how do you feel about the bribery that went on there at Yale University?
Oh, I think it's awful. All institutions can become corrupt, and apparently Yale is not an exception, in spite of the fact that it's dear alma mater and current institution for me. But I think the problem nowadays is that no institution is immune, that the forces for bribery and corruption are so great that it's incumbent on individuals to speak up and speak out against such corruption of institutions. And without that, I think
God forbid somebody like this is trying to like evaluate your mental health. Like, you got to think about this too. This was back in the day. This was it was like 2016, I think. It was years and years ago. This is when the Trump hysteria happened. And so they were all, so Trump, he needs to get a mental health evaluation.
The inevitable path is toward corruption.
Do you trust the leadership of Yale University now, once you discovered that this was happening?
I know the leadership somewhat, and I do trust them. I do trust them more than I do other institutions. But again, it's really incumbent on the members of the university to hold the leaders accountable. I say this because I also have an experience with the American Psychiatric Association as a psychiatrist. One of the
and this one's a slow burn. So you gotta give it a while. This was
most shocking incidents of my career has been the fact that the American Psychiatric Association, and not many people know about this, has changed its ethical guidelines in order to silence the entire profession and to facilitate the current administration. I can speak more about this if you will, but it's really incumbent on individual psychiatrists at this point to speak up against the corruption and abuses of our professional organizations, which has played a much bigger role, more so than the corruption at Yale University, which is only just one small school, much more so in terms of the current events.
Amazing. What exactly does a forensic psychiatrist do? What do you do every day?
Yes, not many people know it's a specialty within a specialty, and that it indicates psychiatrists who work at the interface of psychiatry and the law. So we deal with issues of criminal justice, of consulting with courts and legal bodies in order to offer our expertise so that criminal or civil cases can go through. I also consult with a number of state governments for prison reform. And these are the kinds of things we do in addition to treating patients and ordinary things that psychiatrists do.
That's very interesting. My producer discovered that, found online that as a teenager, you tutored homeless black children in Harlem. What did you learn about the blacks as a volunteer?
Well, I felt a great affinity to the African American population, partly because at the time of my growing up, there weren't that many Asians, and New York City was almost split in half between blacks who stayed mostly above 96th Street and whites were mostly below 96th Street. It's almost hard to imagine that now, but there was a time when that was the case. And Asians, as an Asian, I felt like I could fluidly go between those spaces, in a sense, because I didn't belong anywhere. I could fit in anywhere. So I know a lot of Asians chose to affiliate with whites. I felt, that was rather arbitrary, and I have developed a great affinity with the Black American population, and actually have gone as far as Africa in search of my roots or humanity's roots, and have spent significant time there also. What I've learned in general is that the culture is extraordinarily rich. This is a time when there was a lot of violence that was going on. And the kind of self-harm that was happening, because most of the violence was happening actually blacks against blacks.
Yes.
And just the tragedy of what human beings can do to one another. It wasn't so much the immediate violence of blacks against blacks, but what society was doing to the African American culture and population that was allowing this to occur.
Why are the blacks so violent? Because even today they're still violent. Why are they?
It's not so much that they are violent, but violence begets violence.
Meaning what?
So when a population is exposed to a lot of violence, that is mostly structural violence in terms of not having the opportunities, not having the respect, not having the dignity, access to healthcare, access to jobs. I mean, African Americans live a good decade less than white Americans. And
why didn't we see the black violence during the Jim Crow era? During the Jim Crow era, blacks were normal people. They were not violent. They worked. They got married. They had families. Why didn't we see that during those times when times were harder for blacks than they are today? What's the difference?
Because violence is not immediate, especially interpersonal violence often has a lag period. And what we're seeing now is precisely probably the buildup from those eras.
Does it have anything to do with the destruction of the I'm sorry, repeat what you're saying?
Suicide is often immediate. Homicide is often several years, sometimes decades later.
Does it have anything to do with the fact that most blacks are not getting married, they're having their children out of wedlock, and this anger in the home is setting them up to fail in life?
Yes, certainly there's a lot of stress, and it can trace back to stress in the community, stress in society. Most interpersonal violence is not just individual. Violence is an ecological phenomenon in that it's mostly, relationships, certainly, family, but more so community, and probably principally societally, culturally. There are a lot of influences that play a role in individual violence.
Why are blacks so violent toward white people? Why are they blaming the whites for their downfall?
Well, that's also kind of a trap one can...
It's kind of funny to me. She keeps trying to answer in some technical, psychological, doctor, whatever fucking response. It's hilarious to me. But I wouldn't. I mean, me personally, I've never been raised to think I'm weak. I know some of these people out there raise their kids to think they're less than. That's something I've always said I would never tell my daughter, to make her feel. You grind, you work hard, you're going to get what the fuck you want. Plain and simple. But there's a slew of people out there that raise their children to like think you're less than. And you got to do this, you got to do that, and the system's against you, and all these white people. I don't give a fuck about that. Just work hard.
Get caught in because one feels so helpless that you can start laying a lot of blame. But there's some truth to that also.
You wrote in 2017, you were the editor of a book called The Dangerous Case of Donald Trump.
So this is where I kind of wanted to get to, all that stuff. I just back then, it's just funny to me how all these people were like, oh, Donald Trump and his mental health. These people didn't have the same criteria for Biden, but they have that for Trump. All these mental health experts. That's why I say, like, be careful who you go to, a doctor, mental health, because if they're not really taking care of you, go somewhere else. But
which is a book of essays that examine Trump's mental health. Explain to us what this book is all about.
The book came out of a conference that I held. Once Donald Trump was elected, many mental health professionals were deeply concerned.
Oh, yeah.
Because they could see the consequences of his psychology, that eventually it would have social, cultural, and political dangers that we're seeing unfold right now. But at that time, it was merely in his psychology. So we felt that Mr. Trump in the office of the presidency would become very dangerous. And therefore, we had that consensus that was shared among anyone I spoke with, but no one was speaking up about it. And so I thought we could perhaps break the silence by holding a conference mainly on the ethics of speaking up, because we've never encountered such a situation before, at least in our own careers. And how do we respond to our professional responsibility to society? Do we have a duty to warn about a dangerous president? Was the question we posed, and the answer came out yes. So we decided to put our analyses together in a book, and that's how the book came.
All of a sudden, these supposed mental health experts, they got to speak out.
Have you ever examined the president?
No.
None of us have.
Right. No.
Some of us have had some personal encounters, but not in a psychiatric office setting. But there is a lot that we can tell outside of an examination, and dangerousness is one of them. We cannot make a diagnosis, but diagnosis is only one of many things that mental health professionals do. And it's a very specific technical task that requires all the information, including a personal interview, but many other things do not require an interview.
Is it unethical for professionals to give opinion about someone without examining them?
That is what we were disputing at.
And these people, they'll talk you in circles. I was about to say, be really careful with these fucking people. They can't answer questions. They're supposed medical experts. They have degrees, but they're fucking whack jobs. This lady is a whack job. That's why I want to show you this. She's nuts.
Conference, and I think this really needs to be made clear. You're referring to what is called the Goldwater rule,
yes,
which came out of Barry Goldwater's campaign. At that time, out of 12,000 or so psychiatrists who were surveyed, less than 10% came out and spoke irresponsibly. But the magazine that did the survey, of course, blew it out of proportion and sensationalized it. So the American Psychiatric Association's response was to say that it would be unethical to diagnose a public figure without having examined them.
Yeah, how crazy is that? You guys are, in my opinion, they were diagnosing people without even seeing them. What kind of doctor is that?
Gotten authorization from them. Now, that is only one part of the Goldwater rule. Here's what the Goldwater rule really says. It says a psychiatrist is to contribute to activities that improve the community and better public health. And when you're asked about a public figure, you should educate the public about the public figure in general terms, but just do not diagnose. That is the original Goldwater rule. Now, what the APA did in a public relations campaign since this presidency is what I have noted earlier. That is truly shocking and truly unethical in my view.
What's that?
To simply silence an entire profession.
Oh my God.
Because what they changed since the Trump administration is instead of prohibiting just diagnosis, which many of us are fine with, we don't have to diagnose a public figure to state that he's dangerous, that he needs
No, most of you do in your fucking whack jobs.
an evaluation,
Whack jobs.
that the public needs to be aware.
And they got some sort of license, so nobody's going to question them. Trust me, if you get a doctor like this that you're thinking shit doesn't add up, your own body is telling you something else, and this whack job, well, no, but you're fine, even though you feel sick, you're throwing up, whatever. Go to somebody else.
But what they did was they said that any comment of any kind of a public figure, not just diagnosis, was not allowed. And this, of course, there were dozens of psychiatrists speaking up, if not hundreds, at the beginning of this administration. Now there are none. So they have essentially succeeded in blocking us from speaking about this towering issue of our time, because no matter where it's occurring, no matter how people try to interpret this in political terms, the origin is psychological and it needed to be dealt with in a mental health manner and needed to be dealt with soon. This is what they have blocked.
Amazing. Are you a Republican?
I am actually of neither party. In fact, before this administration...
Yo, and the way he questions her, it's like he's trolling at the same time. He doesn't say, are you a Democrat? He's like, are you a Republican? And then she tries to... That's what somebody... Oh, I'm neither. I'm unbiased. No, you're totally fucking biased.
I was not even that interested in American politics. I was involved in global health. I was traveling around the world, helping to prevent violence, advising governments, and setting up violence prevention programs. So my concern was preventing genocide, gender-based violence, civil war.
Civil war.
Do you vote? Do you vote?
I used to just vote on presidential years. I'm actually embarrassed to say.
So you did not vote? Did you vote for the president?
This time in the midterms, yes.
You voted for the president?
I did not vote for the president.
And that's what to me too. Like these people, like, and I said it's about Karen Reed, kind of like there was some type of analogy I did, but if you didn't vote, shut the fuck up. Some of these people that don't vote, don't take any action. They're some of the loudest people. How about you shut the fuck up? Step aside, because you never make any decisions in your life. You never take any action in your life. You're somebody that sits on the side, bitches, and complains. If you're not taking any action, step the fuck aside. Like, nobody cares about you. Move over.
I mean, the symptoms were obvious to me since the start. Also, I'm a New Yorker, so I've heard about a lot of his unlawful deeds before
unlawful deeds.
His campaign.
Did you vote for Hillary?
I did vote for Hillary.
Amazing. And so now that the president has been there for nearly 3 years, what has he done to indicate that he has or possibly has mental health issues?
Well, he has shown numerous signs from the start, but as I have said...
Like what, for an example? Give me the example. I'm black and I'm slow. Give me the example or something that he has done to indicate that he has potential mental health issues.
So my main concern was dangerousness, which I have to make clear that violence has very little to do with mental illness.
And it's just so funny to me that these people had nothing to say for years about Biden until recently. All of us, I've argued with many people I have friends that like disagree with me, and I said, yo, you seriously can't tell me Biden has some issue like mental health issues? No. But all of a sudden, because the media told these people what you could plainly see with your eyes, all of a sudden the media tells them, oh yeah, maybe there's he should step down. He has something. We've been saying this shit for years, but a majority, half of these people, they didn't believe it because the media said no, everything's fine.
And more mentally ill individuals are more likely to be victims of violence and perpetrators. And so you really have to look at the specific symptoms that make one dangerous.
But what has to give me something that the president did to indicate that he has mental issues?
Those include impulsivity, like tweeting out policies without
tweets
consulting anybody. That's an example of impulsivity. He's often.
But if he didn't tweet out, we wouldn't know the truth because the media lie to the people. Otherwise, we wouldn't know the truth. And so, is it mental illness to tweet out the truth?
I'm not sure. Excuse me.
Tweeting out simply what the first thing that comes to one's mind is actually.
Bro, I tweet all kinds of shit. That means I'm mentally ill?
More on the impulsive side.
So all the young people are mentally ill then, right? Because they live on Twitter.
Actually, yes, young people are impulsive, but they are naturally impulsive.
So are they mentally ill?
That's a normal stage of development when one is an adolescent, when one is a child or an adolescent, but it is abnormal and a symptom of illness when an adult does it.
Amazing. And so you remember Barack Obama, right?
I'm sorry?
You remember Barack?
Yeah, Barack Obama, bitch. You know who the fuck we're talking about.
The black guy that was the president.
All of a sudden, she has like this mental lapse.
In order to help win the election and lied to the people, did that indicate that Obama was mentally ill as well?
We look at patterns rather than single instances, and so he didn't show enough of a pattern to raise alarm.
How about when he lied? After lie about
same thing.
Different things. Did that indicate all the lies that he told to the people? If you like your doctor, you can keep the doctor. If you like your health insurance, you can keep it, your insurance. He went on Facebook and did a lot of stuff. Did that indicate that Obama was mentally ill?
Again, it's about pattern. He may have said, a number of lies, but it didn't rise.
He may have said a number of lies. That's what I'm saying. Like, you see how these people twist it to their own advantage in the conversation?
Above the level of normal politician lying, perhaps.
Normal politician lies. That's what she accepts.
You look at
what is normal. Again, I'm black and I'm slow, but did that indicate that Obama was mentally ill as well? When he lied after lie after lie after lie.
Rise to the level, the pattern was not severe enough to raise alarms.
Amazing.
In the case of Mr. Trump, it's noted that he has said 10,000 lies during his presidency. So it's not just a matter of you cannot keep your doctor or you can keep your health insurance, which could have been innocent mistakes, by the way. But Mr. Trump, even after being corrected and after advisors tell him not to...
You could tell she just listens to CNN all day long.
Promote conspiracy theory, for example, he still continues on and he doubles down. And that is a sign of pathology at this level.
The media lie to the people, especially liberal media, day after day after day. Are they doing that because they are mentally ill? Deceiving the people, the Democratic Party, the right-wing Republicans, are they deceiving the people because they are, and I really appreciate you being here, are they deceiving the people because they are mentally ill?
Now the media, what happens is that when you have a president with mental impairment, it trickles down to the population.
It trickles down. So this woman is literally saying that she's saying that the president was mentally ill, and because she says she believes he's mentally ill, that's trickling down. And so we're all just mentally ill because we listen to him and watch him. We're all mentally ill. That's her explanation. And the media for lying and all the bullshit that they do, well, it's a trickle-down effect. So we're all mentally ill. This is how these people think and work. That's why I had to show this to you guys. It's years old, but I was like, yo, this is like...
In fact, even if members of the population do not have a diagnosable mental disorder, they will take on, for example, delusions and symptoms of mental illness when we have a leader who is...
So are you saying that the liberal media is mentally ill because of President Trump?
They show symptoms and signs of illness, but it's actually not an illness.
So you blame President Trump for the mental illness of the liberal media?
I'm not sure what you're referring to. By
you said that the liberal media is mentally ill because of President Trump, right?
No. Here's what happens. This is something that almost every mental health professional experiences. When you have a mentally ill patient and they go untreated and they stay in a family of healthy individuals, it's not the mentally ill person who becomes healthy, but rather the healthy members around the mentally ill person who take on symptoms of mental illness. And it's almost as if they have a mental illness themselves. And it's a very dramatic phenomenon. And it's called shared psychosis. It's a real condition.
We're all in some type of psychosis, right? They didn't do this shit for Biden. That's what I'm saying. Like when I started, back when COVID happened, and I was like, they sent me to work from home, and I was like working from home, and I saw the full videos in context, and then I saw what the media was posting. That was like my moment. I was like, oh, I realized these people are liars. They're fucking bullshitters.
So I agree with you that the media is mentally ill. I absolutely agree with that.
Here's the treatment. When you extract the mentally ill person from the family, the healthy people return to normal.
Oh.
And so you treat the ill person before you return them to the family, educate the rest of the family, and have a course of treatment. They will be okay. But without intervention, leaving them simply exposed to the pathology, yes. And we're seeing some of that in our population. Much of the population is beguiled by this president.
So let me ask, this is so interesting to me. Mamma mia! Over the last 3 years, more people working now, blacks, women, whites, everybody working. The economy is better. Cut back on taxes. We're safer in our country as a result of President Trump. We are
safer.
The wall going up. The wall going up as a result of the president. Are those signs of a mentally ill person? That type of success.
That type of, and that's the thing too with Trump. Even my mother said, like, my mother was like she's never seen somebody with like the dedication. My mother's not even a Trump person. She's never been. My mother was like, for somebody that like all these people are against him, the media, the courts, all these hearings, like it's obviously a witch hunt. These people are desperate because desperate people, this is what they do. So they're desperately trying to get Trump out of office or even from even running again. Even my mother noticed it. She was like, you know what? The one thing I say about Trump is like, damn, like his dedication. If most people had this kind of dedication, I don't know. You know?
Indicators. Recently, a report came out that Americans are the most stressed population in the world.
But let me just ask that question first. The things I've just read off or mentioned his successes. His success is a sign of mentally illness.
I'm sorry?
To be so successful at making the country great again in the last 3 years, is that a sign of mentally illness?
I'm not sure what you're referring to as success.
He cut back on taxes. More people are working now. We are safer. He cut back on restrictions. He's getting black people out of
This is
prison.
what he's saying. This is what he is promoting, but I think the numbers.
I know, but let me just finish this. He's getting black people out of prisons. We are safer from the enemy around the world. Is that a sign, that type of success, is that a sign of mental illness?
I think a lot of the things you're attributing to him are actually decades, and he's
actually
reaping some of the benefits.
But when Obama was in there, we were going downhill. Now we're going uphill in a very positive way.
The economy was going uphill for 8 consecutive years in unprecedented ways.
Well, somebody need to tell the black people that, because they don't like Obama. They weren't able to work. Violence in Chicago, the black on black violence got worse, and
Actually,
so blacks don't know Baltimore.
Let me correct you. Violence rates had improved during Obama's time.
Really?
They were actually stagnant and starting to go up during Bush's era. And then with Obama's election, they went down again. And then there was a slight up curve before Trump's election, and now it's actually dramatically going up.
That's amazing. So Black Lives Matter chanting killing cops when we want dead cops, and when we want it now. And then some blacks went out and started killing cops. That wasn't violence going up?
Toward the end of Obama's era, it was going up slightly, but it hadn't been going up the way it is now.
You know, I wanted to ask you this, and you're an expert on this. You now have men taking off their male body parts and attaching women body parts and putting on dresses and acting like women. And you have women taking off women body parts and putting on men body parts and wearing men clothes and acting like men. Is that due to mental illness as well?
Well, that's somewhat a cultural phenomenon, and there may be some mental illness in some individuals, but it's more of a cultural phenomenon that may be in response to previous oppression and various notions about sexuality.
So is that cultural phenomenon happening due to mental illness?
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it a mental illness at this point.
Is it sane to do that to your body? To take off your God-given parts and put on fake parts?
And she's struggling with the answer, as if surgically removing your body parts is some normal shit. But to these people, it's normal.
For one thing is that our society is not healthy at this point.
Yeah.
So to respond in certain ways could be a response to that lack of health. It could be a corrective to the lack of health, or it could be a reflection of the lack of health. So I'm saying that one action is not ill or healthy, in a blanket way. We have to look at.
So are you saying that the Great White Hope, the President Trump, are you saying that he's mentally ill for making society better, but the men and women who are taking off their body parts and pretending to be the opposite sex are not mentally ill? Transgender is not mental illness?
Again, I'm not going to comment on people who are having transgender operations, because I have not examined them. I have not.
But you haven't examined the president either.
As much information as I do on Mr. Trump. So let's just stick with Mr. Trump.
But you have not examined the Great White Hope either. How could you make a decision about him? Would you like it if someone said...
It's about dangerousness, which is not a diagnosis, does not require an examination, and is actually more accurate...
Oh, now it doesn't require an examination.
...from information outside of an examination. And we have voluminous, high-quality information on the president over decades. That's more than enough information. And we recently did a mental health analysis of the Muller report. And that...
The Muller report. I think it was Russia.
Oh, that's a good point. They lied and said the president colluded with Russia. And they screamed and yelled and carried on. They spent thousands of millions of dollars on the so-called investigation. They found out that nothing happened. and they won't admit that they're wrong. They won't apologize. Are they, Muller and others, are they mentally
ill?
So,
these people, nothing to say. Are these motherfuckers with this Russia bullshit, are they fucking mentally ill, right? They've been pushing this shit forever. That's what I know about these people and these liars. They never admit to what the fuck they do, and they move the goalposts. And oh no, I don't know what you're talking about. I went to school.
Concern is, I have not examined any of them.
Oh, you haven't examined them, just like you haven't examined Trump, but you have a mental health evaluation for Trump, right? That's why I don't trust these motherfuckers. You didn't evaluate Trump, but you had an opinion and a psychiatric evaluation about him, and you put that shit out there.
And I do not have enough information on any of them.
They're
Again,
liars.
I only have enough information about Mr. Trump.
Like Karen Reed.
Well, why are you a forensic psychiatrist? Why haven't you examined those people? They were very public. They've been yelling and screaming for 3 years. They've been proven to be liars. Why haven't you noticed them?
Because my interest is on the effect of the president on society, which is currently a mental health crisis and a national emergency. And the Muller report has confirmed a lot of our assessments to the point where we can almost come to a conclusion. We have requested that the president submit to a personal evaluation.
Amazing.
If he believes he is fit, he should submit to one.
Why should he prove that to anyone?
Right.
Why should he have to prove his health or non-health issues to anyone? People don't go around proving.
He has shown enough signs of pathology for thousands of mental health professionals.
But they didn't do the same for Biden.
To be concerned.
That's what I'm saying. They didn't do that for Biden.
We have been requesting a mental health exam. He has avoided it through fake exams.
Did Obama go through a mental health examination?
We are now asking that all presidential and vice presidential candidates undergo.
Did you ask that of Barack Obama?
We're asking of all upcoming presidents and vice presidents.
But again,
that's what I'm saying. These people are fake as fuck. That's why you gotta look out for these people.
and I'm black and I'm slow. Did you ask that of, I need a yes or no. Did you ask that of Barack Obama?
No, it was never a concern before Mr. Trump. We've never had such a mentally unstable president in most of our memory. And therefore he has raised, that is perhaps one contribution he has made, in that he has raised the importance of mental stability and acuity in an important office such as the president's. And we are requiring that from now on of everybody. We're asking that they submit voluntarily.
But it's not true that it wasn't asked before, because they asked that of another Republican president who lost as a result of that. We just talked about him. What was his name again? Goldwater. We asked that of you guys asked that of Goldwater. So it has been asked of another. Well, why wasn't it was asked of Goldwater?
Please. It would have been good if they had asked for one, because I believe that he would have passed.
Who, Obama?
Obama, I think he would have passed. Mr. Trump, I sincerely doubt he would be able to, and that's why he's avoiding one.
As a forensic psychiatrist who at Yale University, there are women who are killing their children inside of their wombs. And there are men and women who support it.
Again, these are the kinds of conspiracies.
And then they are now. Let me just finish the question. Let me just finish this.
Mental health.
I know, but let me ask this. And now
she don't want to answer that shit.
They're saying that once the baby pops out of the womb after the 9th month, that you can now kill the baby. Don't let the baby live. Is that due to?
That's untrue.
Is that due to?
I believe that's untrue.
No, they just.
And I literally the other day played the video. That was true at a certain point. I don't know if they changed it, but that was fucking true.
Passed that law in New York. That passed it in New York. My question to you is that mental illness to kill unborn children? Is that mental illness?
Is that mental illness, right?
It could be, it may not be.
So these women may be mentally ill for
untrue.
so these women may be mentally ill for killing their children inside their wombs by way of abortion.
I am concerned about.
Please, do your bullshit answers already.
Perhaps you're listening to Mr. Trump's rhetoric more than listening to the facts and evidence.
No, I'm asking about these. I want to come back to that. I definitely want to come back to that. But my question is, because you're a mental health expert, these women who are killing their children in their wombs, and some of these children can now pop out in the 9th month and let the baby die, even though Obama wanted the baby to die on the medical table without doing a botched abortion. Without any medical care. Is that due to mental illness that they're willing to kill children in the womb? And even after the baby is born, is that due to mental illness? I just need I'm black, I'm slow, and I need an answer to that. You're an expert. Is that due to mental illness?
I'm slow, but I think you have a mistaken notion of mental illness.
That's why I'm asking you. Is that due?
It's something that cannot be answered in a yes or no.
It's mentally sane. Right, it's mentally sane, especially, and he was given the extreme example at the 9th month to kill a child. And some of the people don't even want to view it as, oh no, it's just cells or whatever. She can't even answer that. We gave you all of these examples, and you say Trump is mentally ill, but all these other people, the media line, people making up all this shit, are all these other people mentally ill for saying the same very things that you complain about? No, no.
It requires an examination in this case because there's not enough public...
An examination, but you never examine Trump, right? Fucking hypocrite.
Yeah.
How much do you need?
Again, I would like to stick with Mr. Trump, which is, I believe, the reason you're interviewing me for.
Okay, concerning the president, so you won't answer that, but concerning the president, this woman, Maxine Waters, out of California, a Democrat, she not only wanted impeachment, but she called for the violence of Trump supporters when you run into them in a cafe or something like that. And I call her the wicked witch of the West with the low IQ. Is she calling for violence and hate this man so much, the Great White Hope so much? Because of mental illness? Is Maxine Waters mentally ill as well?
Again, I don't have enough information on Ms. Waters, Congresswoman Waters. I would like to stick with Mr. Trump, please.
So you have never personally examined the Great White Hope, President Donald Trump, and you have a mental illness mentality about him.
Right.
Where you have these crazy people out there dressing like women and dressing like men and saying, encouraging violence.
They're not a danger to society in the way that Mr. Trump is.
I'm sorry?
They're not a danger to society the way that Mr. Trump is.
But the president
Trump is currently a danger to our nation and to international security, and that is why we're calling for an examination. If he feels that he is fit for the presidency, he should be able to submit to an examination and pass it.
But
currently, we do not believe that he has the capacity to pass a basic mental capacity exam. That is our assessment.
In closing, why would a man like the Great White Hope, President Trump, submit to a bunch of people who don't like him because he's a white male, straight, conservative, white male? Let me just finish. Let me just finish this. He's a straight, white, conservative, Christian male of power and making the country great again, where you got a bunch of liberal intellectuals who don't like him. Why would he submit to his enemies?
That's a good question. Why submit to your enemies, right? Why would I get a mental health evaluation from these people that hate me, right? These people that are biased, these people that are like deprived, they don't have any morality. Everything goes unless you disagree with them politically. If you disagree with them politically, that's a problem. Why the fuck? Like, why would I surrender to you?
Again, it's not about like or dislike. We are medical professionals.
Yeah,
we
right.
Are concerned.
Medical professional that didn't even examine the person. How do you do that?
We're actually pro-human, so you can say that
Pro-human.
we're pro Mr. Trump.
Yeah, right, pro-Trump.
We would like him to receive the proper care. Currently, the power that he is given, the access to war-making powers and the nuclear arsenal that he has is not a healthy situation. It's a dangerous situation.
Amazing.
And as professionals, we make our assessments based on evidence, clinical observations. We back our assertions with data alone, not personal opinion, not political affiliation, not objective ideas.
My final question, were you born in America?
I came here when I was a year old. I consider myself thoroughly American, a patriot. I am Christian, and I am.
You're a Christian?
Yes, I am.
And you support.
A devout one, too.
And you support transgender and abortion and all that. How can you be a Christian and support evil?
I'm mainly concerned about our nation's safety and public health, as well as public mental health.
But you're not concerned about. You're not concerned as a Christian. You're not concerned about the soul of people who are destroying themselves by thinking that they're a man when they're a woman, or a woman when they're a man.
Of course I am.
And how about the unborn children?
Those are real concerns. Those are relatively small concerns compared to the much larger concern.
A relatively small concern
About human society and human civilization.
We're pro-human,
That is
but you're also pro-destruction of humans.
stake.
Amazing.
Because of the mental instability of the most powerful man on
But
earth.
60
That is
million.
my principal and overriding concern.
Since
For
19.
that, I have to tell you, I'll tell you that I am currently in a 40-day fast.
A 40-day fast? Bro, that's how you know there's something wrong with your ass. A 40-day fast?
I'm about 10 days into it, and I'm praying for the safety of our nation.
Since 1973, 60 million babies have been killed inside the womb. And you're not concerned about that as a
I'm
Christian?
actually concerned about people who die every single day, whose deaths can be prevented.
How about
If we
the
are
unborn?
pro-life, we should be pro all of life.
How about the
Not
unborn?
Unborn, not just unborn partial human beings.
Not just unborn, partial human beings. That's the thing about these people. Like, they don't even view them as human beings. If you're gonna get an abortion, I feel like just know everything that comes with it. And I've known people that have regretted it. But like these people, they're trying to want to bring up terminology. Unborn partial. They're not even partial human beings. That's how they think of them. Oh, it's science, or whatever.
Born.
Bro.
Unborn, not just unborn partial human beings.
Bro.
We should be concerned about our fellow human beings all across the board, all around the world, who are all in danger at this time.
So, Doctor, the Skype is messed up, but let me ask, is it unhealthy for the children who are being killed inside the womb? Isn't that unhealthy for the baby that's being killed inside the woman's womb?
Of course, but it's also an unhealthy fixation when we are waging wars. Did you know that we're waging war in about 80 countries around the world
But
currently?
Obama did that.
Oh, I mean, this goes across multiple presidencies.
Okay. Doctor,
I'm Catholic, so I should be concerned about unborn babies.
Yeah,
but
you
it's
should.
a small concern over the numerous deaths that we are propagating, that we are waging.
But just so you know, you might not be aware. You might not be aware of this, but Obama started all those wars. The Great White Hope is ending those wars. He's working on ending them, but it was Obama. So y'all need to examine. Y'all need to examine Obama.
Do you know what the nuclear posture review is?
No.
It's a first strike nuclear war policy. Mr. Trump instituted it. He withdrew from the INF treaty. He withdrew from the Iran nuclear deal. He is destabilizing the Middle East.
Let me just say, amazing. Let me just say this. I have two other quick questions. Number one, you say you're Catholic. What do you think about the liberal Pope?
I don't consider him liberal or conservative. I consider him abiding by the gospel.
Do you love Israel?
Do you think Jesus was liberal?
No. You about to make me cuss. No, he wasn't liberal. Do you? You think Jesus was a liberal?
Because you seem to be using the word liberal for people who are trying to be ethical or truthful.
But liberals are not ethical.
When you say liberal media, how it lies, I actually find the extreme right-wing media to be very concerningly spreading conspiracy theories.
But
and propaganda.
the Pope is liberals are not ethical. That's why we have such a messed up world, because the conservatives.
How do you know liberals are not ethical? Have you examined all of them yourself?
Because I've never seen a liberal that stood up for anything that's right and that's good. So that's why.
So if you make such blanket generalizations, then you have to be concerned about being influenced by propaganda or
by God. I'm being influenced by God. Does that count?
Yes, but why is it going into politics?
My last question for you: do you love Israel?
I love Israel as a land, and I love Israelis as people.
You love the Jews?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I've actually been to Israel, and I found them incredibly humane and good people, just as Americans are, but misled by corruption and politics.
Yeah, there's a woman in Congress, and then we're done. There's a woman in Congress. Her name is Ilhan Omar. She hates America. She hates the Christians. She hates the Jews. Should she be in our government?
That's a political question, I think, again, loaded with prejudice that I cannot answer.
Okay. Dr. Bandy Lee, thank you so much for coming on. That was fun.
That was fun.
Thank you for having me.
Will you come back again?
Sure.
I enjoyed talking to you. Thank you so much, all right?
Okay.
All right, now. All right, folks, we're having some problems there with the Skype connection, so that's why you can hear it clearly before a little at the end there. I appreciate the doctor hanging in there, too. She's better than some liberal men.
Oh, shit.
Well, we managed to get through a few weeks without a massive ethics scandal surrounding.
That's that. Dr. Bandili, I wanted to share with you guys. What's one of my favorite clips? Because, I don't know, I just feel like she pretends and plays dumb and is also a doctor and completely biased. It's totally fucking biased. I don't know. No. Nah. I don't believe her. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. I'm going to get some rest. I'm going to get some sleep. Love you guys. Have a good night. And we'll see what tomorrow brings. All right? Good night. Love you. Bye. Bloop, 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 bloop.